Hey guys, Miss Hong here. So we are going to go ahead and do part one of the homework, which is to go ahead and finish the notes for the reflection, and then we're going to put it into our notebook. So you will need the following materials, as well as glue or a glue stick or glue or tape even you can use to paste it in when we're done. So you want your booklet, you have your 2 sheets of patty paper. If you don't have it, you lost it, it fell through, okay, then you just follow along and watch what I'm doing. But if you happen to have your patty paper with you, then you get to go ahead and try it with me. Have 2 different colored either highlighters or colored pencils or crayons or whatever, just 2 different colors, and then your pencil. So if you need to pause the video to go get those materials, go ahead and do that now, so that you'll have it all ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside for a second. For those of you that missed the video, this is what I did on the first video where we had it for homework. So you'll probably want to pause the video and write this down, okay, or watch the last video. So in class we worked on this, okay, and then we are going to work on this right here, the second page. So again, let's read the question. So given the rule and pre-image, draw the image, okay, and we're also going to label the image points with primes. So the first part, it says reflect over the x-axis, then reflect over the y-axis. Okay, so what we mean by that is we're going to take this pre-image and reflect it over the x-axis. So I'm going to take one of my colors. It corresponds with the same color that I used here. So I used pink for x-axis, so I'm going to use pink here. Now if you don't have that color with you at home, then you can just, it's okay if it's different. So let's say we reflect over the x-axis. I'm going to use pink to highlight that. And the x-axis is right here. So I'm going to highlight that x-axis. They go together. Alright, then here's my pre-image. I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis. So, since this is my line of reflection, watch what I do with my patty paper. So, this is where you can get your patty paper as well. You need that line, so I'm going to go ahead and draw this line, which is the x-axis. I'm even going to, for fun, you don't have to, highlight it in that same color. And then I'm going to trace the pre-image. In this case, the shape of a triangle, and the vertices are at T, E, and I. Okay? Now, if it's truly going to reflect over the x-axis, I should be able to take this and fold it. So I'm holding the bottom, like I have my fingers here. Okay, I'm holding this down, and then I'm going to put my thumb underneath the patty paper and fold it on the pink line like this. Okay? If I do that, this is where the image should end up. Okay, that's where it should end up. Now it's slightly off, okay, because it's not, I'm doing it by hand. But if we want it to be more accurate, here's what we do. Okay, because you won't have a patty paper available like during a task. So what does that mean? Remember that the pre-image is, you have to count how far it is away from the line of reflection. So E is going to go towards the line of reflection and then go past it the same distance. So if it takes 1 unit to get there, then you're going to go 1 unit away, and that's where E prime ends up. You do the same with T. So T is 1 unit away, so you do the same with T here. It's 1 unit away, and you write T prime. Now I is 1, 2, 3 from the line of reflection. Remember, you're trying to get towards your mirror. So 1, 2, 3, so you're going to go 1, 2, 3 past the line. 1, 2, 3. And that's where your I prime should be. So when you darken it, or you go ahead and connect the points, you have your image. So I'm going to take the image that is created by reflecting over the x-axis, and I'm going to color it in that same color. So I'll be looking for this, okay, when I check your homework on Monday, that you've used the colors and you've done the primes, okay? Now let's see if that really matches up. So if I bring my patty paper back, put it back on the x-axis, and put it back on the pre-image, and if I fold it, okay, I didn't fold it perfectly, but close enough, okay, Then the I ends up on, if you look here, the I ends up on I prime, okay? And then the T ends up on T prime, and then the E ends up on E prime, okay? So that's what we wanted. All right, now, then we're going to reflect over the y-axis. So what we mean by that is we're not going to come back to the pre-image. We're actually, so go ahead and grab your second color and highlight the y-axis. Remember that anytime if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind. That's the beauty of having a video, is that you can fast forward, rewind, watch it as often as you need, okay? So we're going to reflect this image over the y-axis. So the y-axis here, I'm going to take the same color and I'm going to highlight the y-axis with that same color. Okay, so I'm going to grab my pencil. Now this time I'm going to try reflecting that. I'm going to retrace the image here with my y-axis. So let's go ahead and get that, and I'm going to go ahead and use my color to highlight that y-axis. Okay. Oops. And highlight, highlight, highlight. E prime. And you might be like, well, Miss Hong, when you reflect that, what's going to happen to the prime? So this is the cool part. So now remember, since we're reflecting over the y-axis, okay, now I'm going to turn my paper so it's a little bit easier for me to fold. So I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to go ahead and fold this over the line. Okay, so it should end up on this side. So let me turn it back, 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 back. Oh, it's going to be here-ish, okay? So now, to be more exact, at least I know where it's supposed to end up. If I'm going from here and I'm reflecting over the y-axis, then I'm going to end up on this side. This is called quadrant 1, okay, if you guys remember that. So I'm going to end up in this quadrant. But how do I do it without patty paper? So you have to make sure you realize where your line of reflection is, and imagine that this x-axis is not even there. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper to hide it. Okay, so let's say I hide this. It's not even there. And all you got to do is reflect this over the y-axis. So go point at a time. So if I want to move the, if I want to see how far E prime is from the line of reflection, you just count. So it's 1. Then to create its image, then you go 1 away. Now interestingly, this is going to be labeled E double prime. Okay, this is where we talk about double prime, and it's very important. I'm going to be looking for this when I check your homework, because this part is important and it's new. Okay, so there's your E double prime. Now we're going to go here. Now don't count down, you know, ignore the x-axis. It's not about that, it's about this line. So you got to go towards the mirror. Okay, we call this the line of reflection. You go towards the line. You got to count one interval, then a 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So I prime is 5 units away from the line of reflection. So you need to go 5 units away. So I'm going to continue counting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since I started with I prime, when you transform a prime, then it becomes double prime. So it's I double prime. And then lastly, okay, T prime is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units from the line of reflection, so you're going to go 5 units away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that came from T prime, so now it's T double prime. Excuse me. Then you don't leave it like this. Remember, since it started off as a triangle, then you need to make sure you see a triangle. Okay? And in this case, we are going to color it in so you can see which one it corresponds with as far as which axis. So we're going to go ahead and highlight this in blue. That's the result of reflecting over the y-axis. For me, it's blue, whatever color you guys chose. And then there you go. All right? So pre-image, image, second image. Okay, so it went from here, reflected over the x-axis, then you took that image and reflected over the y-axis, and that's how you create movement, okay? All right, so number 2, this one's very fast. Number 2, which axis was used as the line of reflection? So it's either x or y. So you can take your patty paper, your second one, or if you have room on your first one, you can use that one. In fact, I do, so you can save that one for something else. So if you look at the pre-image, which is right here, okay, W, R, G, and A, and your line of reflections, if I try to fold it this way, let's say I try to reflect it over the y-axis and I fold it this way, it doesn't match up with the image. Okay, so if I fold it like this, it would end up on this side, but there's no image on that side. So guess which axis? It's probably the x-axis. So I'm going to draw the x-axis, fold over it this way, and remember you can stop the video at any time, scoot down the line of reflection, and hey, that's where it ends up. So R goes to R prime, okay, W to W prime, and then G to G prime, A to A prime. So all of these, I'll draw an arrow going this way, and I want you to do the same. Okay, they all flipped over this line of reflection. So I'm going to take the color that I used for the x-axis, in this case for me it was pink, all right, and I'm going to highlight the x-axis and write my answer, x-axis. Okay. Number 3, which axis was used as a line of reflection here? So it looks like it was the y. So if I take my patty paper, I draw the line y, and this side is my pre-image because there's no primes. And then you do R, Q, P, S. Then you reflect it over the y-axis. So I'm going to turn this so it's easier to fold. And then you fold it, and that's where the image ends up. So that means it was a reflection over the y-axis. So I'm going to take my other highlighter that you used for the y-axis, or y-coordinate. Oh, I should have it here too. Okay. And here. Well, don't worry about this part. Okay. So which axis was used as a line of reflection? It was the y-axis. I guess for those of you that are confused about this, okay, this was on a part of my other video that I had made, but you can go ahead and, oh, oops, sorry guys, that should be y. Okay, so let me try and see if I can white that out. I'm so sorry about that mistake. So that should not be blue. Okay, so what I'll try to do is just rewrite this, and I apologize for that mistake. Okay. If you need white out when you come back to school, you can do that. Okay, I apologize. So there you go. Now we are ready to paste this into our page 23 of our interactive notebook. So here's my interactive notebook. Page 22 was this comment here, and if you didn't get that, pause the video and go ahead and write this down for page 22. Okay. Page 23 is for reflections, so I'm going to go ahead and write that this is page 23, and I'm going to glue it. Trying to save glue because these glue sticks, we need them to last a little while. So, oops, I'm going to draw an X. Okay, and then paste it in. There we go. Just paste it in real good. Press it down. Alright, so this one, we've got our booklet for that. Okay, so that is the, that's for the notebook. Now let's go to the homework. So homework is to do numbers 1 through 4 on this packet. Okay, so if you want, you can use your highlighters to help highlight the axis. At some point you will have to do it without the highlighters, but hey, you guys are just learning to practice this, so I'm going to go with my original colors. My x-axis was pink, so but you can do whatever. It doesn't always have to be, you know, different colors. It's up to you. I'm going to use pink to remind me it's the x-axis, blue to remind me that's the y-axis because that matters. Okay. Okay, so let me highlight this one here. This is the x-axis, not this. That's the y-axis. So I want to reflect this quadrilateral, which means four-sided figure, I want to reflect it over the x-axis, which means where is it going to end up? Is it going to end up in this quadrant, or this quadrant? Which one do you think it'll end up when you use this as your line of reflection? Well, this is where I'm going to use my second patty paper, or you can use the first one if you have room. Go ahead and draw your line. Copy your line, which is your x-axis. Okay, we want to reflect over the x-axis. And then trace your pre-image, U, T, S, V. And then you will want to hold it down on the bottom here. I'm holding it down with my thumbs. And I'm going to just fold this over. If you want to turn your paper, but you know at least this much, you know it should end up down here, a mirror image, okay? For example, V prime is going to end up here. It should be pretty close to V because they're both close to the line. U's farther away from the line of reflection, so the U prime should also be farther away. S is closer, T is farther away, T prime is going to be farther away, okay? So how do we do that without patty paper? So you got to think about counting. So like, let's say I start with U, okay? You go towards the line of reflection. So 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? That's 4 towards the line of reflection. Then you go 4 away from the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be U, because we reflected U all the way to this side. That's U prime. Oops. Okay? And then let's reflect, it's up to you which one, but you got to do all 4. So let's say we reflect V. Hey, V is really close to the line of reflection, so it should also be really close on the other side. In fact, it's 1 unit away, so this is going to be V prime. And then T is 1, 2, 3, 4. Ignore all the other pieces that are in here. You just think of it as a point going straight towards the line of reflection. T is 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from the line, so you got to continue on 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's T prime. And S is 2 units away from the line, so you go 2 more units away from the line of reflection. And then that's S prime. Now you're ready to connect. And if you want to use your patty paper to check to see if it truly did fold, then you can put it back on here. You have your original, fold it over, okay, whoops, it should be right here, and it lands perfectly onto the image. Now if yours doesn't land perfectly, that's okay. It takes a little getting used to for this patty paper. So from here to here, the fold should match, okay? In fact, if I draw this, if I copy this also, V prime, U prime, T prime, S prime, then you can see that they do look the same, okay? So there you go. And if you fold it, they land on top of each other. They are going to match up, okay? Number 2, reflect, oh, this one's just a single point, okay? Now this time it's the y-axis, so I'm going to use this color to highlight and only focus on the y-axis. So I'm going to take this X, go towards the y-axis, and then go, since it's 2 units, go 2 more units away. And there's my reflection. Now, how do I check? You can take, let me see if I can use this side that I haven't used. Okay, so you can take your y-axis, okay, that's your y-axis. Here's my pre-image, and you should be able to fold it like this across the line, and then it matches up with X prime. Okay, so that's the correct way to reflect over the y-axis. All right, let's try number 3. Reflection across the y-axis again, so we got a y-axis. Now I would strongly ask you to pause the video at this point. See if you can do numbers 3 and 4. Anytime the video, you have the freedom to pause, so make it your own and not just follow blindly along with me. See if you can pause and say, ooh, I'm going to try that on my own without Ms. Hong's help. And then you can check and see if you got it right. If you got it wrong, at least you have an explanation that can maybe help you figure out what you did wrong. Alright, so I'm going to try number 3. Now if this is going to reflect over the y-axis, this pre-image over here is on the left, okay, of the y-axis. So if I have, oops, that's a V, isn't it? Okay. If I have V, U, T, right, and I want to reflect it over the y-axis, I'm going to fold it over the y-axis, and the reflection should be on this side. Okay, so don't do this. Don't fold it over the x-axis, which is here, and try to go this way, because then you're going to be reflecting over the wrong axis. Okay, this is if you were to reflect over the x-axis. Don't want that, okay, because the problem said to reflect it over the y-axis. But how do we do that without patty paper? Okay, you look for the closest point. Hey, V is close, so I'm going to go. Now, you don't have to start with the closest point, but I'm just going to do that. That's out of the way. So use the grid, guys. That's why we're doing this. So if U is here, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to get to the line of reflection. You're going to count that equal amount away from the line of reflection. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get U prime. T is 1, 2, 3, 4 units from the line of reflection. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4 units away. We can use our patty paper to check. So here we go, and here we go. So let's see if we did it right. So we said if we reflect over the y-axis, okay, let me match that. That would be here, okay, and then we should be able to fold over, and then that's where we end up. So we drew it correctly without having to do it with the patty paper. And last but not least, number 4 again, pause the video if you can. We're reflecting over the x-axis. So that means that is going to fold over. So where do you think this V should end up? Over here, or over here? Where should it end up? Some of you guys might make the mistake of thinking you go here, but you're not reflecting over the x-axis. Imagine the y-axis not here, and you've got the x-axis. So you've got the x-axis here, and you're going to reflect V over the y-axis or x-axis, so you literally fold that down. The V prime is going to end up somewhere over here. So that's where it should be if you reflect over the x-axis. So how far is the V from the line of reflection? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so go 5 units further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where V prime is. I can use my patty paper to check. Okay, here's my V. I flip it over, and then it matches up with the V prime. Okay, so that's number 4. And that's all you have to do. This is the end of the video.